I'm proud of it. I don't want to, like, I really think this is like a being.
It's your evolving baby.
Yeah, like I'm very proud of her. She's just not what I fully want yet. Like
Sure.
it's not something I want to show the world yet.
Sure.
And everybody wants to see it. And
Sure.
I'm like, it's not done.
Sure.
But anyway.
It is a weird balance of like, ironically, just last night, Blake showed that video at an event.
Yeah.
And it is something that he recorded all the footage for, like, I think he said like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just been sitting on his desk,
Oh my gosh.
taunting him.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost can't even get into it because you know how good it can be.
Yeah.
And there's like this weird amount of pressure that you want it to like evolve and be this thing, but then it represents you and you're like, this isn't ready.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. Art in any avenue like that is super weird.
I know. Isn't that funny that, so we've had this podcast for, I mean, a bit now, and we've never talked about creativity except like just for a second with Chelsea.
We're too scared.
Yeah. Like we've never talked about being an artist or
Sure.
like the pressures or being
Sure.
creative in general.
Man.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Kasey, like honestly, Kasey is, I wanted to know so much about her upbringing because
Sure.
how did you manage to get that all in order?
Right. You want there to be like this secret formula.
Yes.
Like I always make the joke of like, well, I didn't have a rich uncle, and
Right.
that's how you become successful.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
none of that's true, but it's easier to.
I mean, it does help.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
I would like a rich uncle. I probably did have some rich uncles. They just don't give a crap about me. So it's fine.
Oh my! It's interesting too to mix in the aspect of like client work, like Kasey, for example, to be so creative, but also have to like put out and produce things unique to the individual that hired you. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother level
Yeah.
of like setting your ego aside but also being confident in your skills. Mm-hmm. That feels weird to balance.
Yeah, it's like a commission when people ask
Sure.
you for a commissioned piece. You know, the thing that I hate hearing the most?
Do whatever you want.
Would you like to do my dog? I need somebody to do my dog.
Sure.
Does it look like I paint dogs?
I've never seen a dog from
I
you.
know. And I'm like, maybe if there's a hot chick in the background, then I'll paint your
You
dog.
do have a vibe.
Don't want to paint Sparky.
I'm
Merry Christmas.
I'm gonna bring my dog up here for the photo shoot, inspired photo shoot session.
Aaron would be cool.
She'd
That is
love
like
it.
a hilarious
She
name to
would
name a
love-
dog. Aaron.
Oh, Aaron.
How'd
And
you
it's a
come up
girl.
with that?
It's a girl dog. We actually found these two dogs, Aaron and Cal, and they happened to be girls, but Blake didn't care. He was reading, I believe, Grapes of Wrath.
Okay.
I apologize to anyone who's actually read this book and knows that that's not the right connection. But he was reading a book in which there were a set of twins that they were twins, but they looked nothing alike. And their names were Aaron and Cal.
Oh.
Our dogs were sisters
Okay.
of the same litter, but one's like a Chiweenie situation, and the other one was just a terrier mutt
Yeah.
combo.
And you found these dogs?
Yep.
So how'd you
Yep.
know they're from the same litter?
So when we took them to the vet for like the overhaul, get us ready to keep these animals situation, she was looking at their teeth and stuff and said that They were from the same litter, judging by their teeth. They were about 7 weeks old. And then she informed us that dogs, female dogs, can get pregnant whilst pregnant already. Mm-hmm. So I always told them that their mama was a floozy. You got a floozy dog, Mom.
Yep. But one time I asked my dad, it was like whenever I was in 6th or 7th grade, I begged my dad for this dog that I think we found her at the pound. No, that couldn't have been it. We found a dog.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful, an Alaskan Malamute. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
So like a giant husky,
Fuzzy
pretty much.
situation.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And so I begged my dad for her and to keep her. And so he's like, fine. Well, I didn't live with my dad at this time, but I knew I would get to go see it. And so a week later, I'm like, hey, I want to go see the dog. She had 12 puppies.
Checks on you,
And
Dad.
That's
so many puppies.
Yeah. She bounced. She straight up jumped to the fence after, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks.
Losing 12 pounds.
Yeah. And they were all huge and they all looked different. Like one looked like a Rottweiler and the other were like,
oh, that poor dog.
I know. I was like, I understand. I just hope you found a good home.
Oh my gosh.
And I hope they fixed you. You poor mama.
Boy.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Speaking of mom fails.
Oh yeah.
You got to chime in here. I'm like stealing this conversation.
I'm a perfect mother, so go ahead.
Okay. Let me tell you how perfect I am. So this morning we went to, so Willem's been in theater at ALT Saturday mornings, and she just loves the crowd. And we knew that there was a performance today.
Okay.
So I've been telling her for 2 weeks now, hey, go read your lines, practice your lines. She looks at me. I'm not going to read all that script. Have you seen how thick that script is? And I'm like, fine, go practice your lines, but it's really good to know everybody.
You know that's part of this process, right?
Yeah. I go, everybody, I mean, you want to know everyone's lines.
And
that way.
Coming and going. And
yeah. So anyway, she kind of refused all week, and it's fine, whatever. But so today's the performance. It was so funny how satisfied I was. She was, I'm sorry, but she was the worst one.
Oh, no.
And she was the only one who like needed her script the whole way through.
Oh, boy.
Reading straight off the script. The other girls just like could spout them off. Yeah. And it was,
oh my gosh.
So I was just sitting there.
Did she look out at you and you were just...
Well, she couldn't see me because the stage lights were pretty great. But afterwards, I did. We were all in a huddle, and I go, well, you're no Lennox. Because Lennox he's a legit little actor. But he won't do it unless he's got friends with him.
Oh.
Yeah, he was one of the ones, like I went to a play randomly a year ago, and he was one of the ones who knew all his lines.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of knew others' lines.
Oh my gosh.
And he still like fights the wind and stuff with swords and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
As you do.
He's great.
Your kids are fascinating. Honestly, all kids really are something. Just to watch their little brains work. We got this, my cousin sent them a box of all sorts of awesome Christmas goodies like crafts and presents, and it was wonderful. It's super helpful this time of year. But there's a ton of bubble wrap, like long strips of big old bubble wrap.
Oh yeah.
So naturally, you pull that out. I was like, this is a gift in itself. Next time, just send a roll of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was having to work, and Hadley, my 3-year-old, was with me. And she was so bored and mad that I wasn't playing with her. She rolled out that long strip. It took up like part of our kitchen and our whole living room. And then she went to the garage and got her scooter. And then came inside and just rode up and down that bubble wrap on her scooter for like 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, my dog was freaking out because it was so loud, but I was so proud of her, just entertaining herself.
And
like
you were just fine with the noise.
I mean, I had to... once I decided how funny it was a better moment for all of us.
Yeah.
But it really was so clever. I just like, what? You had this whole plan.
I love
Little
it.
cutie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We went off on a huge tangent there.
Yes. Yes. Hey, I want to tell you again to your face. I'm so sorry about
Be here.
holiday decorations.
Don't be.
My
we
gosh.
literally gave it all we could because we had 4 hours, and so I was just like,
It
"Hand me a
looks
staple
great.
gun and let's just go."
I was like, the irony of it is like,
Yeah.
well, this is great.
What happened?
But so she started myself and 2 other girls to help like do the changeover decoration vibe so that it stays fresh and interesting out of the collective.
Yes.
And then we did it once, and then
we've
been so helpful.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think about it all the time. Like I'll be
Right.
like, oh, that's a
You're
cool
like,
idea.
"Oh,
That's
I should
cool.
do that."
We could do that different or whatever.
Yeah. Dang.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. We'll be more organized. That's like what I always say. I'm like,
Story of my
next
life.
year I'll do it differently.
Story of my life.
I need to go out there.
No.
And
It's
I
its
always
whole
think about it.
own little city
Its own
thing
little
going
world.
out there.
Yeah.
So
Is there anything else popping up around you?
an XL substation and storage facility. People what do people in Bushland keep saying? My dad stays up with the Bushland Facebook. And he always tells me, he's like, "Can you believe these people?" I'm like, "No." What did they say they thought it was going to be? It was hilarious what it was, but
Like
I
a
can't remember
Buc-ee's?
now. But
Buc-ee's.
but yeah, it's just
Yeah.
that's like the only thing right now.
Dang.
It really
So
gets car
there's
lots
stuff popping up like in Bushland, but I
Yeah.
never go into Bushland.
Yeah.
And so I don't even really know.
This is gonna sound real
What
dumb. So Bushland is an actual town. Like there's like a Main Street situation,
They're
or
unincorporated.
oh, okay,
So they are,
it's just a area.
it's an area in Randall and Potter County kind of both oversee it because it's on the county line. And then I think the school district is kind of like the only like entity that operates
So
there.
do they have like
It's very
a post office?
Yes. But they don't, the addresses are not Bushland. So like my store's address isn't a Bushland address.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's Amarillo.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Google Maps says it's Bushland and I'm like, quit doing that shit.
Yeah.
They're like, we're in the
Not
wrong
right.
state.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
it's very confusing because like we have to pay property tax to Potter on the building, and then I like paid that already, like wanting to throw up at how much it was. And then that first year I also got a bill from Randall, and I was like, no.
No.
Like, y'all are double tapping me.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, you have to pay Randall for the school district. And I was like, and that's more than the property tax was for Potter? So it's been brutal out there because they just keep
How
passing bonds because they
interesting.
keep building schools. And I'm like, okay,
No,
guys.
thank you.
Yeah. Dang
My
it.
kids don't go here.
Yes.
I don't even live here.
Yeah.
Dang it.
That's
well,
weird.
not to mess this up or anything or make you uncomfortable, but you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. I am Kasey Tam. I'm originally from Amarillo, left for a while and came back and have had 2 different businesses on 6th Street. I now have one out in Bushland called From 6 Collective, and then I also practice interior design.
Amazing.
So a little bit of everything.
So all the good stuff.
I freaking love all the pictures that you're posting on Instagram. Are those houses that you've done?
They are.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we're a little ways off from being able to really do a full launch of a website because I never really did that much interior design because I got busy having kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And so hopefully 2025 is the year we can finally get all the good photos and really start
Yeah.
pushing what we do on that side.
Cool. So what's your favorite thing to do? Do you like interior design or do you like to be at your store more?
Oh, that's tough. You know, I've never been hunkered down just to one thing. I feel like for some insane reason, I've always had 2 companies. And so I think there's different aspects I like about both. Of course, I love the creative side of the interior design and getting to actually, use my skills that I went to school for. My dad's a builder, and so that's always been a part of my life. But then I don't know that I would be as inspired on the interior design side if I didn't have my hands in the collective side of it.
Yes,
So, of course, like, same thing kind of with Alicia. I love, using my hands and making those interactive exhibits and stuff.
Sure.
And so I feel like it kind of helps me work through the creative process altogether. So
even to have like what do they call it? Your thumb on the pulse or whatever. Anyway, like to be able to interact with people that could potentially be your clients in different capacities.
For sure.
Like even starting through the retail.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I think the interior design really took off because of having the platform of the collective to be able to share that I have always done that on the side. And so, right now is definitely the busiest I've ever been on the design side. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Is it mostly local? I feel like you traveled some also.
Yes. So for the most part, it's local. In the past, I've taken some things for some friends in some small surrounding towns. And that was fine. It was kind of a quick remodel situation. And then this past year, I said yes to doing a penthouse in Austin.
That's
amazing.
It was great because we had the direct flight. So
Sure.
I could leave right after school drop off and be back that night. But then they've taken that away. And now I'm like, oh, I don't know if I would take more jobs. Because it was difficult. It was really.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
It's different being able to answer calls and be available here in town, even when I'm not in the store, but being all the way down in Austin. I took the job thinking, oh, we'll turn some of these trips into like a family vacation, or I'll get to see all these people I grew up with that live there now. And I think I got lunch with one friend one time. I pretty much showed up, worked, and got out of there. So that one, though, I mean, it's a really
gorgeous.
stunning a project that I think I was pushed a lot of my boundaries were pushed a lot just because I have not had to deal with like weight limits of products. And
sure.
So there were a bunch of regulations going into being on the 48th floor, also designing an outdoor space up there.
Wow.
So I learned a lot, and I'm really excited to get that one photographed soon. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you about your last trip that you've been on.
Yes.
The big one.
Yes, the big one. So
Alexis is gonna be so jealous.
Again, I mean, so much fun. The retail store again kind of like set us up for being able to be a part of this group that was asked to go over. So it was myself and 15 other interior designers from the States. There were a couple from France. And we were invited to basically go to like the round top of Europe.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was just this massive antique show. It lasts like 2 weeks, but we got to go in kind of before the public. And it was incredible. I think the hardest thing was that no one spoke English, and it wasn't just that they were speaking Italian. There were vendors from Germany, and then you'd go to the next space and they'd be speaking Arabic, and then you go to the next space and it'd be French. And so it was a grueling but fun 4 days. And then my husband and I ended up extending the trip because why not?
Yeah, my gosh.
And so we just hit the Italian countryside for 4 days, and it was such an amazing reset.
Yeah. Where was your favorite place to go?
So we kind of got up near the Piedmont region, which is kind of like up in the Italian Alps area. We stayed at a place called Bobbio, a little town. If my husband wouldn't have been with me, the trip would have been nothing like it was. We just went straight to a Hertz and rented a car and got on Google Maps, found a place that we thought looked beautiful, and then just hit the road.
Love it.
So we were like in a tiny Fiat, it was a standard. The roads are like these ancient winding Roman roads. And so I would have just had a panic attack and quit.
It sounds like you're in a reality show or
I mean, he definitely felt like he was in like some sort of like 007 episode.
Yes.
Totally. But yeah, the food, I mean, we were there at the best time of year. I mean, it was already autumn. And so it's like mushroom foraging season. And it's just, I mean, it's the founding place of like prosciutto and Parmesan. And so,
yes, please.
I mean, even though I couldn't get my rings off like 48 hours into the trip from all the salt, I got home and I was like, why are we not starting this meal with a plate of prosciutto? That's just normal now.
Yep.
It's so, really remarkable. I had never been to Italy. And so very grateful that we got to do that this year.
So cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you find some goodies at the market?
So there was a ton of good stuff. I was mostly just looking and sourcing for clients, just because not really knowing kind of how that shipping process would all shake out. I just didn't really have the confidence to just buy a bunch of stuff for the store that I wouldn't probably see till like March. So, and then again, it was just, it was just a huge learning experience. Yeah. So between like setting up all your shipping accounts and understanding like the money changeover and the wire transfer process, it was just, I kind of put the pause button on, but we did end up becoming friends and visiting and doing some meals with some of the local people that were there selling. Cool. And so we kind of found out just like Round Top, like that's kind of where things end up becoming their priciest. Of course, it's all the best stuff. And it's such a fun experience. However, I think we will definitely go back and we will hit more of like that countryside.
Yes.
Because sourcing imports direct to Texas. I mean, our location is I-40 and I-27. And so I would love to see the store eventually kind of head in that direction.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We'll see
where
next year goes.
Well, cool. Well, you said your dad is a builder. I'm very curious for some reason on like what you saw or what kind of inspired you as a child. What kind of things do you look back on that your dad did that kind of inspired what you do now?
Yeah. I mean, I think, I was just a part of the process in all forms. I mean, he was technically a commercial contractor. And so both of my parents being self-employed, if my sister or I were sick, then it was like we loaded up with dad and went to the job sites for the day. I remember having a huge collection of whenever the electrician comes in to install, they pop out these little circles in the boxes that look like quarters. And I had collected thousands of those and had full intentions of taking them to the bank to cash them.
Oh my God. They're like the perfect size.
Yeah, heartbroken when I learned that they're actually good for nothing.
That is so funny.
So yeah, I mean, being on job sites with him, I always found it just so interesting the way it kind of all came together, all the different steps in it, and then seeing it eventually be open for business was always really fascinating. And then we were just one of those families like where, we'd buy, we'd remodel, and then we'd sell.
Yes.
Luckily, my parents never took us out of our school district, so I've lived on 5 different streets in Belmar, one of them twice.
Nice. Yeah. That's like Andy and Michelle Justice.
Yes.
They live my dream life. Like
that's awesome.
They move.
I know. I feel like every time I hear about them, I'm like, oh, they're not in that house anymore.
Yep.
So
every time.
They say this is their forever house there.
Yeah.
So
how many times have they said that?
I honestly can only think of this one.
Okay.
So maybe
we'll see.
But yeah,
depends on if a buyer comes along.
Sure. Oh yeah. Sure. Right. We could downsize.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I love that. I'm just very interested in like what kind of things like grabbed your thoughts.
Yeah, my dad and I were always closer, and my sister and my mom were always closer. So I feel like my sister gravitated towards cosmetology like my mom. I graduated. Yeah, kind of went in his direction. And then I think the big moment of realizing like, oh, I could actually get involved in this industry was surprisingly there was an interior design class offered at Amarillo High.
Oh,
and
cool.
so after kind of like understanding that process was not just decoration, that's what got me really interested in like architecture and interior architecture, and then eventually led to me going to the Art Institute for it. So.
Cool. Did you go in Dallas?
I did.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
That was another one of my dreams. Italy, Dallas. I really think that
it's not too late.
Yeah, I know, right? But I want to go there, and now I feel like, or go to the Art Institute, and so now I feel like that everybody does everything online.
Sure.
Like it's not gonna be the same.
Sure.
As going to the campus.
I will say, I mean, I was pretty disheartened at first that my parents were like anti-CU or any of these other places that I had gotten into. And in retrospect, I'm glad they made me stay in Dallas, because doing the Art Institute's interior design program basically gave me so much more hands-on experience than any of the girls that were doing it at, say, Texas Tech. I mean, we were the first ones to know what internships were available. We were able to get a lot more hands-on experience, like in the design center, versus, you know, I mean, I love Amarillo and I love Lubbock, but I find myself in Dallas for my design side of my career, I mean, half of the month.
Sure.
It's really difficult to source some of that stuff here in Amarillo. So so that was beneficial. If anyone's out there looking, I would say finding a place that does have a big, strong interior design culture is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you want to ask something? I have like a million questions.
Go ahead. Yes, please. No, I was just going to say it would be really interesting growing up with a dad building and then being able to know, like, I'm just thinking of this because you just posted this picture of some leather wrapped railing that was so
in
beautiful.
The bathtub.
But it's like, you know, it would be one thing if I came in and I this would look pretty, but I have no back concept of like what it needs to do to be efficient or like sturdy or whatever. Yeah. So to have that in your bank and also make it look gorgeous, for sure, that's really cool. Yeah. That's
I mean, it definitely pays off to have that. I think growing up, listening to all the contractors around me complain about working with decorators. I never wanted to be that, and I'm very, very fortunate that I have a great relationship with every builder that I've been able to work with. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Okay, rapid fire.
Are you wanting to kind of stick around in Amarillo? Do you have plans to go elsewhere?
You know, we change all the time. I feel like my husband and I have already been like 17 different people since we've even been together.
Perfect.
I think if I can get him out enough to see the mountains, which Amarillo is close enough for that to just be a half-day little trip. I definitely think long-term will remain in the area. I mean, we have too many irons in the fire to do anything drastic. So like I just told you guys, instead, just to make our lives a little more chaotic and interesting, we're moving to Canyon. From downtown Amarillo. So
I mean, that's local anymore.
That's going to be an adjustment. And so, I mean, it'll be really fun. I've never actually done something necessarily for myself. Like the house we're in, it's beautiful. However, we moved in whenever my daughter was 2 weeks old. Oh, wow. I was pregnant during the entire remodel, which we somehow only like spent 6 months on. Wow. And so, you know, once you're in, it's harder to make those big design decisions again, because it's just chaotic having contractors in there with you. And so I'm very excited to kind of take this one and actually put a lot of thought into it, and kind of get to do my own thing.
Man, it's going to be sick.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That is why, like,
you're a serial home mover and remodeler. I know this about you.
I wish I was more. So every single house that we've been in, we've said, this is our forever home. Yeah. And so now I'm just really realizing, like, I love change. I love change so much. And I did dabble in real estate. And so to know that after every 2 years, you can go and get
Exactly.
get another, and then make that one your rental if you want, or sell it, and that's one thing that continuously goes up here is the value of your home,
Sure.
So why not?
Every time I come into Stoics, it's different. So,
Yeah.
you like some change?
I do like change. Like literally, I think I changed everything this morning.
Just this morning.
Yes. And it's crazy. And actually, I have a party here next weekend, and the lady was like, can I come look at the space? And I'm like, it will do you no good.
It will be different.
Yeah. You can come next
come look
week.
every day.
Yes. Yeah. Come look next week. You can figure out where everything is then. But no, I love change. My husband, however, is totally over the remodel. So we are the DIYers. Like, we are best friends with freaking Klein Rosenbach contractors, and Jordan cannot let him do anything. like Jordan wants to do everything. If we could mentally pay somebody to do it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Right.
But he mentally cannot do that.
Let go.
Yeah. He keeps talking about the one time that I had Klein come in and secretly demo my bathroom because Jordan wouldn't do it.
That'll teach him.
That's a way to light a fire.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we moved into this house and we never went into one of these bathrooms ever. And so I was like, well, he's not going to see it. So I might as well. Yeah. But yeah, that's what it took to get him to start working on it. But yeah.
It's funny you talk about the one bathroom because literally the only thing Blake and I have ever attempted to remodel is one bathroom. And we were pumped. I'd been watching the shows on HGTV.
Yeah.
I was ready. And we were like, man, we'll get this done in a weekend.
Yeah.
Who even cares?
Right.
And so 9 months later, we just kept the door closed and used the other bathroom. Did not
Is it done now?
Well, it was at our old house and we finished it when we realized we were going to move.
Right. As
So,
you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So moved into 2 bathrooms.
Yeah. Amazing. That's another thing that I never know what I want to do. Like, I know I'm a really creative person. I understand that much, but it's like, oh, creativity means, you're an artist, or creativity means you're an interior designer, or you make clothes or fashion designer, whatever. And so I tried interior designing thinking that was like the obvious choice. Mm-hmm. But when it's not mine, I don't care about it.
See, and I'm like the complete opposite.
Right.
Direction.
You?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm giving all of it to them all
Right.
the time.
Awesome.
And
Sure.
then I don't do anything for myself. Normally, so that's one thing I will say, a lot of times there are designers out there and they end up kind of like having their look, their aesthetic. I think
sure.
at my core, I've always been very eclectic, even personality-wise. Like, I love the city, but I also can totally vibe with the week in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone service.
Yeah.
So
We
I
just
feel
want
like
it all.
I get thrown into these jobs and they're all so very different because we completely cater to the client's tastes.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't know which one I would put in my house. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that, but then I
Sure.
also really was leaning into the color over here.
Sure.
And so I don't know. My kids
Yeah.
are like, just please don't make it all brown.
Yeah.
Which, by my outfit today,
That's hilarious.
brown's a big color
Yeah.
in my life.
What is that? There's like a Instagram person or whatever that's like sad beige babies. And
Yes.
it's just all
My
beige.
kids were
Yeah.
sad beige babies.
beige. They're eating oatmeal with a gray
That's
spoon.
funny.
That's so funny.
But it
gosh.
sure looks cool.
Yeah.
It does. It's an aesthetic life.
There
Yeah.
you go.
The monochromatic one.
I do get that though. Like, you make so much stuff and then it's kind of like, I'm too tired. I don't want to do that at my house. But then it is a factor of like, well, what would I even pick? Because then I have
Right.
to live here. It's like, I appreciate going to Alexis's house because it's so minimal and so clean, and like the things that are supposed to pop. And I'm like, yes, I could live here, or maybe I'd vacation here. I can't decide. And then I go home and it's like just shit's everywhere. And I love it. It's all my stuff.
It's lovely shit, though.
Thank you.
I love it. It's so homey.
It's like I couldn't be minimal if I tried.
Same. My version of minimal is like I'll do 2 very minimal built-ins, but then those built-ins are full.
Yeah.
Of like, you know,
Yeah.
the rocks, the coral,
all the things.
just most bizarre shit
Random
that Josh and I
leaves.
have accumulated over the years. And of course, like I tried to do the whole like Zen thing. I mean, you know,
Sure.
does this bring me joy? And I was like, I mean, all of it. Like Josh and I were going to do it and like during COVID, and we made it like through one shelf, and it had been 3 hours of us being like, do you remember whenever we found this one?
What a sweet fun time that was. Yeah. So I am genuinely a hoarder. Like it is something that I have to work on. But I got into a little bit of the psychology of it, and it's like personally, if I put it away, I genuinely like out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. And so anything that like does bring me joy, I want to set it on a shelf so that I can see it all the time.
Yeah.
And so turns out I've had a lot of fun, and it's all sitting out everywhere.
I love it. Like you go to your bathroom and you have those little Polaroids on your wall. I love it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Stick it there.
90s kid.
Did you? 100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
I remember my sister's like closet even was decorated. It was like
Yes.
thousands of pogs glued to the shelf.
Whenever
That's
you were
awesome.
talking about the fake quarters from the electricians,
yes.
I was like, you could have had lots of pogs.
100%.
Funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the other
Makes
night
me
when
miss
y'all
homeland.
came over, Alicia, it was funny because if I have to clean, I end up redesigning or
Right.
or like cleaning out clutter. I don't clean, and so I this one day got everything out, and I found this canvas that Jordan gave me. It was a photo, a black and white canvas photo of him in his firefighter.
Why did he give you that? What did you do with it?
I put it on our record player. Like where everybody sees.
Front and center.
Yeah, and let him do his thing all day long, you know. And it's not a small one. It's not small. And so then I come in later, and I have already forgot about it. And he's looking at it, and he's holding it, and he's like,
What?
"What? Like we had to put this up." And I was like, and I died. I was like, it was a joke, babe. It was a joke. And so I went and put it in my closet. And
That has to be-
I love it in my closet.
Oh my
But,
gosh.
Yeah.
That would be one of those things where you like put it in his shower, so he opens, like, put it in his car, like just haunt him with
Everywhere.
it. Yeah.
Everywhere
And
he goes.
so what he did is because one of the firefighters' wives are an awesome photographer, and she came up and like was taking pictures of the guys for like Christmas stuff. And what made my husband get like a big ass canvas?
Walgreens special, man.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, it was funny, but now it's like the only decor in my closet, and I really love it.
There you go. Sweet boy.
I love it. It was really funny.
Oh my gosh. So, do you have like art hanging in your home, or do you have like family photo sessions hanging in your home?
No, we keep, Joanna Robertson can attest to this. We keep our family photos pretty plain and simple. We're like 10 minutes in and out. We just need one for a holiday card, and then I'll save the holiday card.
Smart.
Oh, nice.
No, Josh had quite a bit of really great artwork when we met, and then
That's
I
cool.
had already kind of started my own collection as well. And so
That's cool.
we have some really wonderful stuff. His aunt had a show at the First Cerulean
Okay.
years ago, and so we have some of her stuff. And then I mean that's something I've always been passionate about since my first store. Always featuring local artists.
Yeah.
And then when we travel, that's like my biggest thing is
Yeah.
like
The
finding
go-to.
something that's super personal, that's handmade, things
Cool.
like that. So we're usually bringing back art no matter where we go.
I will say the only time that I've ever been to her house, which I think I've been to both, but is during photo shoots. like for magazines.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we used to open that up a lot, and then years of
cool.
kids' damage on the walls.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that at the house anymore. Until we get a remodel, it's not open.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see.
Coming to Canyon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll bring you to that one.
I'm going to go snoop the befores of your house. Is it on the market?
It is.
Okay, cool.
I
I mean,
we'll talk about that later.
yeah. But I do want to like look and see like the
some before and after. That's fun.
Yeah, it has terrific bones.
Cool.
And like I said, a lot of good characters.
Yeah.
So,
That's
we're very
exciting.
excited.
I'm happy for y'all.
Yeah.
So does Josh work with your dad?
No, so whenever I had the Nat, Josh and I got married only like a year after I opened that. And we also had that giant hailstorm. And so my dad did need help. And so we kind of all formed this roofing
Our
company
powers combined.
that kind of like assisted his commercial construction biz. And then, as you know, dads, daughters, son-in-laws all working together. It was phenomenal. I love all the time that we spent, doing lunches together every day. However, when COVID hit, I was like, it's time for a transition.
Let's do something.
And I also, I needed all of Josh's help for the collective. So he basically, whenever we meet with a retailer who's interested, once they're ready to sign a lease, I kind of look at their existing store or their existing branding, find out what is most important to them in their space within the store. And so I kind of do like rough sketching of it. And then Josh builds every single bit of it.
Love that.
So my favorite one's that hollow dot booth with all the curves.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you told me at home you couldn't do those. And then now I see that you can.
Couldn't do it at home. That's what I meant.
Exactly. So he still does all of that. He
cool.
built out every retailer as they shift and come in. And then he also helps me on the interior design side.
Sure.
So he comes in with me at the end and installs hardware, handles like hanging artwork and mirrors and drapery. And then once they have that phone number, he seems to just
How can
get those calls every week. So it's kind of like he's the eternal one that stays with the client long term.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so
That's really
it's been
does he like see the things that you draw up and say that's not possible, or is he now like, okay, we can make it happen?
I'm trying to think of even how to answer this. It's really funny. We work completely differently.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course, like I am very used to kind of just like giving kind of like the overall direction, and then like, I do call out in detail. However, like I usually wait for the contractor to kind of say, yes, like this is possible. I wouldn't recommend this material, but maybe this one.
Sure.
And so at that point is usually whenever I take it back on and get really detail oriented with something. My husband can't handle even looking or thinking of anything unless all the details are already thought out.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm like, he really just needs to work with like an engineer all the time.
Sure.
And so
Make
I'm
this.
definitely not thorough enough. And so that's been kind of funny. He's like, I just don't understand why you can't give me exacts. And I'm like, well, because when I do, you then come back and say, well, that's going to be a whole nother 2 sheets of plywood. And so I'm like, well, then shrink it 6 inches. I would never do that kind of stuff for a client's home, but like out at the shop, I'm like, this is going to change in 6 months.
Sure.
And so I had to take him to places like Anthropology to show him the display stuff, because they look phenomenal at a distance.
Sure.
And then you get up close and I'm like,
But
look
it's
at
like-
it. It's literally scrap pieces of wood haphazardly attached.
Yes.
Like, it's fine.
It's decoupage.
Yeah. So I think it's good for him to kind of have the balance between like the chaos of the shop and then just the finer details.
So you could actually live in the hollow dot display because it's built so well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean, in the beginning, I was like, no. Like, we do not need to be spending this much time. And so, I mean, he's finally realized now, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're just doing this.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So, funny story. When we got Stoics, we, cleared everything out. And obviously, you need an art wall, had an art gallery.
My gosh.
Oh, yeah. So, I was like, well, I want a big art wall. So, let's just make one, to where I can move it and it'll be great. So, my husband goes in, kind of plans for a tornado or something with this wall. Makes
Terrible.
a freaking giant 12-foot wall. I'm not kidding. Maybe 30 2x4s are inside this wall.
Oh, my word. How much does it weigh?
Oh, it is since passed. But so,
Alexis is the tornado.
So yes, so it was a 12-foot wall, right? So we get it up and we stand it up. You can't move that thing. So we put it on rollers, and so it wants to go to one side or the other, right? So the giant single wall becomes a giant freaking T in my building, so that there's more, structure around it. Long story short, 2 years have gone by. I hope he doesn't listen to this part because I have secretly removed half of the wall. Only a third of the wall exists now. But it was the funniest thing about it is I'm like, hey, I still need art walls. So I have this idea. It involves a freaking 4x8 piece of wood and then 2 side pieces, and that's it. And I did it, and I put it up front, and he comes in and he's like, well, I bet it's really heavy. And I'm like, lift it up.
Like, no. That's awesome.
And it's perfect. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you like the work, the effort, the money that went into you needing to be an engineer in this moment instead of just trusting that your wife could probably make a wall stand up.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It is funny how you think so differently and then you find each other.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how to make things real complicated.
Right? I can't even talk to him because I'm like, your mind is going this way and mine's going this way. Yeah.
We're not really even here.
Yeah.
Does he have input, like, with the appearance of things, like with you guys doing so many remodels on your previous homes?
So my favorite home that we've ever done is the one out in the country, and it was like extremely minimal. I mean, all white wood, concrete. That's all this house was. And I freaking loved it. But it's so crazy that I can't visualize things very well. I have to see it like in a photo before I understand what I'm getting myself into. He can visualize like the pitch of the roof and what's that going to do to the inside of the house. Like he is amazing. So I go to him with anything concerning that kind of question. As far as like decor and stuff, I think he would probably lean more to the like hoarder side. But he just doesn't get he's a firefighter, and so he leaves for 24 hours.
So free reign.
Yeah. I'm like, can you imagine what I threw away yesterday? Like, you would never
Oh my gosh.
know.
You'll never even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's Josh. Josh is the throw awayer.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've
Everybody
came home
needs
and I'm
one,
like,
I guess.
where is the rug? Like not just like my tchotchkes.
Yeah.
The dining room rug is missing. And I'm like,
my
please tell
gosh.
me you took it to get cleaned. And he was like, I donated it. I just don't think I didn't like it. I feel like it was shedding. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
You're like,
where
you shed?
So this,
Should I get rid of you?
So we've kind of had to already before, it's like before we got married, I was like, hey, listen, if you're not going to play Santa when our kids come, like if you're not going to, if you're going to make me be like, Santa's not real, I don't know if we should get married. Right? That's a big thing. And so now going into this house, like we've already laid it out. Okay, we know how this is going to go. So how about we be respectful of one another, but like he's going to do the kitchen. He's a phenomenal cook.
Okay.
Cooks everything, every single night, everything from scratch.
Come on.
Yeah. And so the kitchen, I'm just going to have to let that go.
There you go.
Yeah.
If I want a certain countertop, we're probably going to be going a different direction. And then I was like, okay, well, I get master bathroom. We both have big plans for the sunroom, so we'll see where that lands.
I love that.
Rock, paper, scissors.
But yeah, it's going to be really interesting because he has a very Midwest. I mean, he was a woodworker for years, so he leans into like the very Frank Lloyd Wright stuff. And while I do to a degree, I mean, I got to throw in a little maximalism there.
Sure.
And so, I mean, because he would just live in like a solid wood structure forever and just smell like sawdust. So I'm like, well, I mean, I really love tile. And there's some great wallpaper out there right now.
It's also a natural material.
So it's going to be quite the trip. But
I love that.
It'll be fun to kind of see what it shakes out to since we haven't done it.
Yeah.
So
That sounds like something that two mature adults would come to the conclusion of like, hey, this is where you get your way. This is where I get my way.
I'm so glad we come across as that.
Killing it.
So like, how long have y'all been married?
So it was 11 years this August.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Were y'all babies when you got married or?
No, I was 26.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's
he was
what
3
I'm
years older
saying.
than me. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I was a straight up baby, and so was Jordan.
Still
and
baby.
so we're like, wham for 10 years.
For 10 years.
And now we're like, oh, okay, you should probably get your way on this thing. Yeah, that would make life easier. But
Well, you know.
at my art gallery is not going to be where
That's
he
not the place.
takes his way. No.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so what about Blake?
Oh, Blake.
Oh, Blake.
See, this is fun because I can say whatever I want about him because he doesn't listen
I
to
know,
any of
right? like I don't think our families
own damn
listen.
fault.
Yeah. They're like, oh,
Yeah, I
you
don't
said-
know that this is going to make it into Josh's top 5, but we'll see.
So it's funny you talked about how like everyone has the one in the relationship that throws stuff away, and that's definitely Blake. And of all things, I was like, "Hey, where's that stick I put in your truck?" He's like, "What? I threw it away." I was like, "What?" I needed that one stick I found in my parents'
course.
yard. It was so perfect.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so that pretty much sums up our relationship.
Yeah,
Like, what?
yeah.
What do you mean? Or like, I'll say, why don't you help me like pick up the house ever? Woes. And he's like, I don't know what to throw away.
Yeah.
There's a pile of stuff. You might need this box. I'm like,
Yeah.
I do need that box.
So
it doesn't.
It was funny the other day we went to her house and we used paper plates and or plastic plates or whatever, and the kids were like, do we throw this away? And Blake was like,
I don't know.
let's
Oh, my word.
he goes,
Oh, my word.
he goes, let's just go ahead and do it. And we'll say, oh, sorry.
Oh,
later."
sorry. Sweet boy.
Alicia's like, wait, I was going to make bird feeders.
Yeah, exactly.
So funny.
But that does attest to like, oh my gosh, those cups that you used, did you say they were melted by accident and you got to keep those?
So we just had the fundraiser for the park.
Oh, yeah.
And there was this box that came of plastic cups that we got for the bar. And for some reason, they like, this one box was like kind of melty. And so we didn't use them. I was like, I'm taking that shit home. We're going to use it for Thanksgiving.
Just like damaged cups on it.
And it kind of like melted into a extra little place for your thumb. It was like a perfect little.
They were like
Nice.
the best fluted little cocktail tape. Like it was crazy that we were all like, they were melted.
Okay.
Like this?
And the irony is I threw those away. And Blake was like, I didn't know we were throwing those away. Like,
Oh my
okay,
goodness.
so
Yeah.
it just depends.
You never know.
on-
Yeah. You never know.
That is so funny.
But-
no, they were beautiful.
And it's interesting too, you talking about like having your separate like zones of the house a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, like I go through this life with this man that I think I am, toning down the too girly or the too pink or like, you know, I try to keep it a little masculine or whatever. And the whole time he just doesn't feel like he has his own little space. I'm like, this whole house is for you, you know, whatever. And so now he is obsessed with his garage.
Yeah.
Nice.
His
Yeah.
garage. So I can't really go out there anymore. But he got a TV out there for the World Series.
The husband and wife meeting in the middle of design on their primary residence.
My gosh.
I feel like I should charge extra for therapy.
I was going to say that
It's a
to be a
lot.
client situation
It's a lot.
would be fascinating.
Yeah, early on, you got to find out like who's really going to be
the
making the
pants?
decisions
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I feel like I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, none of the husbands chime in here, but I think that I have done a very good job most of the time, making sure to remember to be like, let's talk to him. Let's bring him into the conversation.
I love that.
Thank God they've started making some decent looking recliners because that's you know still just a thing we go through at every job.
That's hilarious.
But it is pretty funny. Like we're working on one right now, and we had done their primary residence a couple years ago, and it was kind of the same thing. The husband felt a little bit forgotten, even though I was like, "What?
Sure.
It's like your office is beautiful. Like you have the best piece of furniture in the house, and like a super funky bathroom."
Yeah.
So then in this kind of guest house scenario, you know, it was mostly so he could finally have that space.
Interesting.
And while I did not design a single thing through that door, that is all him. I think he was a little bit thrown whenever he came in and we had lacquered everything in a shade of pink. But I just keep explaining to the contractors and every other person on that job, like you have to wait until it's full, until it's complete.
Neutral.
Like exactly.
Yeah.
Once all the furniture comes in, the pink will become a neutral. But it's been quite comical looking at all of their shocked faces. And they're like, I thought this was his space. And I'm like, well,
it will be.
he'll love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that
funny.
one.
I know. Oh, man.
Yeah,
very
it's probably the wildest, funnest one
That's
I've
cool.
ever gotten to work on. I think that client and I had just built up such a good working relationship on the first home.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of trust
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say trust.
There was also, she leans into a lot of creativity. And so there was a lot of risk taking there.
Love that.
I brought in Gabrielle Bivens to kind of do this like
She's a
modern day
badass.
fresco. And so the
Cool.
ceiling is like this barrel ceiling that Gabby interpreted the Fort Lonesome wallpaper design from. It's stunning.
Yeah.
And then they have kind of an upcoming project that's very secret that the whole town will see, and it'll be phenomenal. So I'm very excited about that.
And do you get to help with that as well?
Of course.
Now
Yeah.
you're talking.
Of course.
Now you're talking.
So yeah, it'll be a
Amazing.
blast.
Oh, cool.
That is
wait.
so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a counseling degree of some kind. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, my husband will just have to sit there in the background because, I mean, you know, they eventually call at all hours, no matter what your contract
boy.
says, anything.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're in their personal life for usually a minimum of a year. I mean, you're
Interesting.
diving into how they live, how they operate.
Yeah.
So it's a very personal thing.
That's interesting.
Becoming an interior designer.
Are there like character traits?
I mean, it is a little bit difficult. And I mean, I think this happens with everyone. I mean, you know, like you have hairstylists and they're your girl.
yeah.
And then they grow and they expand and their rates change. And sometimes you just got to move on.
Yeah.
And so that has been something that has been a little bit kind of different. As used to, I would be able to assist in that to my friends that are DIYers or to people that just needed like a little bit of guidance. But just with the bandwidth we currently have and the fact that I really, really love coming in from the ground up. Like I want to be there with the architect. I want to be talking about your space planning. And so we can design it from
that
the
builder
very
in you
beginning.
too.
Yeah. And so, I definitely am more hesitant. There's a lot more vetting now and just taking on the jobs just so I can make sure that we really deliver for everyone. Not to mention I can always be like, well, I got this store.
Yeah.
You could just go shop the stuff we already have.
We don't sell any recliners, but
yeah, exactly.
I love
Which
that.
that's something we are trying to expand on in the store so that the interior design in the store continue to have a conversation because at the Nat, my two careers really were separated, and so it made it very hard. And so, we have like a full fabric and wallpaper sample library now, so anyone from the public can come in and shop those.
Yeah.
Tons of we have 3 different big rug companies that also offer customizations. And then we have we've kind of opened up our furniture catalogs where used to we would just kind of choose what ones to order and how they should look and sell them off the floor. Now we're really working on training the staff to understand how to really customize all of that with the client.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you
hopefully
were
that
asking.
expands.
Sorry, you were asking like the character, like the personality of the client.
Yeah.
And I do think that's interesting. Like, do you get clients that are creative and like have a vision, or do they just like, for example, I hear people say like, I would never have thought to put that outfit together, stuff like that, because they have to see it to understand it. So how do you come in and like, I can't show you anything yet, but it's going to be pink. You're going to love it.
So, I mean, I think the clients are all over the place.
Okay.
I do have the ones that want to be really involved. I have ones with very strong opinions. And then I have some that are just like, here's how I'm going to live in it. You do it.
Love that. Yeah.
And so, and then, I think it usually takes, I don't know, especially with a new client, I don't know that they fully become trusting until like material installation.
Sure. See some results a little bit.
Yeah. And so it's like once they start kind of seeing like some materials and some colors come together, then they start to get a little bit more excited about the furniture they've chosen and some of the more kind of spontaneous stuff we do.
Sure.
But then, I mean, the clients that I've worked with before, I mean, they just... It gets better and better as the years go on. I'll say that. But like the one I was just talking about that's very out there. We have another client that I've worked with for 10 years, and she's very rustic. It's, River Falls.
Sure.
I ended up coming in and helping her husband with his beer distribution center. And so I kind of got to sit in on a major construction job, which I loved getting to learn that commercial side of it, working with Southwest General. I mean, that was a totally different speed. And so I mean they all have their own pluses, and I honestly think that's probably why I love it so much and I don't get tired of design.
Totally.
Is it's never the same.
Totally.
It's always evolving. So I don't think I could ever leave the interior design industry. Retail, sheesh, it's a toss. We'll see where everything lands as long as we can still get product affordably and in a decent time. It'll still be fun.
Cool.
But we're tired of the COVID hiccups. For sure.
Oh, sure. Just changed everything.
I know.
Yeah, I think that's cool about the clients and stuff. That would be good for your brain. I always appreciate like just interacting with such different people and having to kind of like relearn what they need and where they're at. And then like you're saying, like it's not about you as a designer so much as like how you can design for people. Like that's really cool. I love that. I'm so glad you came today. Like thank you guys
much for having me.
And then
interesting.
Final question. What color should I paint the studio?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Don't even.
Pink.
Lacquered pink.
Oh yeah. I love it. Well, cool. Well, yes, thank you so much.
Well, thanks guys.
That was fun.
I had a blast.
Kasey's work is like a commissioned artwork for
that was a long time ago.
Dogs, and then we just shot on dogs. Sure. Do you enjoy doing commission work?
So ironically, I don't know if ironically is the right word, but I actually do. I think
cool.
whenever you were about to say, you ended up saying dogs, which I was not expecting.
I was going to say boobs. Will you paint my boobs?
I mean, that sounds more like you. No, I thought you were going to say, my worst fear is when a client is like, just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't do that.
Right.
Also, what if I do that and you hate it? I would much rather, let's just cut through all of the future pain. You tell me what colors you want. You tell me where you're going to hang it. You tell me what you picture. Like, Pinterest has become a good friend of mine in that regard. And anyway, I think it's super helpful to have those. I like being creative within parameters. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I like people telling me what to do, actually. I like being able to decide if I'm going to do what they tell me to do. Maybe that's the thing.
I like that. That sounds intriguing.
Like, go ahead and tell me, because I want to know where the limit is. And then I have the power. Like, then I can decide.
Yeah.
Man, control issues much.
Right.
But
my worst work ever is stuff that people have commissioned me to
a
do.
box on you.
Yes, like Kent Hilton has one. I do not remember if it is. I do not remember what it looks like.
Is it a dog?
No, it's a horse. Son of a bitch!
It's
a
a
horse.
big ass dog.
Yeah. Yep. I have done a handful of horses. I do enjoy some horses.
I mean, horses are cool.
Anyway. But that one was one of the ones that I hated, and I felt so bad, but I could not keep going.
Sure.
It's like, do you want this or not? Because
Sure.
I can't do it anymore. But so now it is very rewarding to be like, no, I don't do
what I
commission
want.
work. Yeah.
It is definitely a different mental process to do something commissioned like that, rather than I think Kasey kind of talked about this, but the difference between like doing stuff for clients and then doing stuff for your own home, like you actually never do stuff for your own home, because it's like
you're doing stuff for clients.
your brain is only in the realm of what they're interested in, what their vibe is, what the trends are, and things like that.
Yep.
And so to sit down and make something for yourself, I don't know why, like sometimes that feels really daunting to me. And that it's sad, because if you really get into it, it's so therapeutic and enjoyable just to doodle or like just make brush strokes. But for some reason, maybe time, I don't know, it feels like that's not the best way to spend your time or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to give yourself permission to. It's like if you're doing a commission, at least there's like money at the end of that rainbow. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sad when money becomes the focus, like the goal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, money's not necessarily my goal. It's Italy.
Sure.
How am I gonna get
I
to
just
Italy?
need as much money as it takes to
Right?
get to Italy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. However, like to live there, we don't have to live there forever.
Sure.
Just like a few years.
Just a moment in life.
I'll be over it.
Soak it up. Yeah. I do admire how, what's the right word? I don't think you're restless, but
I mean, I literally don't sleep.
you can be restless, but I was trying to think of a different word. Like you're too full of ideas. So you got to keep going. Like next.
Yeah.
I like that though.
Yeah, there's so many. It was funny because I'm really excited about a photo shoot coming up, and I pushed it out 2 weeks, right, to give everybody time to like round up their stuff and like gather themselves and be like, okay, yes, I am going to do this. And then I was like, no, fuck that.
I'm over it.
Tuesday, be here or don't.
I cannot wait any longer.
Yeah.
Because if you wait any longer, you're going to do something else.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, like, even my aunt, she was like, hey, do you still have that yellow couch you're trying to get rid of? And I'm like, no, I rearranged this entire place so that I could use that couch that I gave you last week.
I now suddenly need it. You missed your window.
Yeah. And so I told her, I'm really sorry. I'm a now or never kind of person.
There will be another chance, I'm sure, but you missed this one.
This couch in 2 weeks. It's fine. Yeah. But no, I remember always, like, I remember looking up to Kasey. She had the nest, and I would go in there and be like, this is incredible.
This is my life that I want.
Yes.
100%.
And the fact that she's gone to the Art Institute and she actually, like, went to school.
It's pretty
and
great.
didn't, like, YouTube everything.
Sure. It's very impressive. Actual knowledge.
Yeah. And there's like photos on her feed that, and I'm like, oh, you did that? You're not copying. You didn't steal somebody else's photo?
Real life cool things for sure.
Yeah. I love it.
Another just highly, highly creative person. Like, she definitely doesn't stop either. Mm-hmm. I feel like anytime I've ever spoken with her or heard about what she's doing, it's always at least like 7 things.
Yeah.
As random from like a parade float to like opening a new thing or setting up a different place, like just all over the place. And I love that.
Yeah.
Lots of different parts.
And it's so crazy how she has to change with the seasons too.
Sure.
Like,
that's true.
Have you been up there for Christmas stuff yet?
Yes, I admire that too. Like, to be able to have the mind for retail and the fact that you're trying to market to certain people while keeping your brand and staying on trend, but not being too trendy, trendy enough to make money, but also be yourself. Like, what? And then to switch all of that over and do interior design stuff. It's just incredible.
Yep.
It's really interesting.
I wonder if she says no to things.
I doubt it.
Really?
Maybe really lame stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. This is my, what are your New Year's goals?
Oh, boy. What day is it? I haven't thought of those yet,
Really?
probably.
Mine is to do less.
Well, good for you.
I just want to say no to a lot.
Yeah.
And do a lot less, but a lot better at whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, you can, it's one or the other for sure. What's that saying? My boss told me once, like, you can either have it fast, you can have it cheap, or you can have it really good, but you cannot have all three. Like, that doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Two of the three occasionally, but they don't all go together.
Right.
And it's interesting to say no to things because your brain, and someone like Kasey, for example, you're going to create work for yourself. So you can't, I think that's where I have gone a different direction, is I just say yes to things. And so my brain has stopped making work for myself. It's just kind of autopilot on my own time so that I can accomplish whatever I agreed to.
Yeah.
And that's not super life-giving. So
Right.
I definitely admire that about both of y'all. Blake's like that too.
Yeah.
Like, he just
Blake seems like a
makes
structured
up
guy.
work for himself.
Yeah.
And it's always really good.
Yeah.
And he also says no a lot. So
Yeah.
there's something to that.
I know. I do respect that out of Nate and Blake.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really sad they're not going to buy that building across the street from me.
Super lame. I would have done it. See, that's the problem.
I wish we should still go look at that.
I mean, it's worth looking into.
Let's
My
rekindle our
gosh.
thoughts.
Okay.
I wonder, what do you foresee going into that?
Something lame.
Right?
Something probably a little scary.
And then next door to me is really lame too.
Unfortunate. You got to turn this block around.
I know.
I like your vision.
Thanks.
Let's keep pushing for that.
I'm just going to fence her all off and say,
Yeah.
You're invited if you're invited.
They'll have to like make a bridge on Georgia right before you come down into 6th.
Yeah.
Because it's the McAffrey district.
Oh, yeah, I
That'd
should
be
buy
sick.
it. I've always wanted actually, I did call and see if they would be willing to sell that building next door to me. And they're like, no. So, and then
Is it someone that even is local?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, no, we want to rent it out. We've been renting it out for this long, for this much. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot for that place.
That'd be nice.
I know. But anyway. So I checked on that. But man, I wish a coffee spot would go in there.
Yeah, something that would like work well with a studio vibe too.
Yeah. Or maybe somebody who has like a lot of event gear and they want to just store it there.
Yeah.
And then people could rent this place. Actually, no, I don't want to rent anymore.
Yeah, just kidding. That can be event. That would be a good event space across the street.
Yeah.
It's just a big old open room.
Yeah.
Go ahead and buy it. Store all your chairs there.
I've got $0.
Oh, that's a little evil.